The cold metal chair creaked as Dr. Kim Nara shifted her weight, the sound echoing in the sterile chamber. She had conducted hundreds of interviews in her career, but none quite like this one. Across the scratched table sat what remained of communications. Officer Velthek, his blue-gray skin marked with deep scars that told stories of survival against impossible odds. Nara's fingers traced the edge of her recording device as she studied the alien. 3 years had passed since the war ended, yet Velthak looked like he was still fighting it. His mechanical eye whirred softly as it focused on her, a crude replacement for what human weapons had taken. The prosthetic arm that had replaced his upper right limb moved with jerky, unnatural motions. "The medical reports say you've been having nightmares," Nara said gently, her voice barely above a whisper. "The same dream over and over." Veltak's mandibles clicked together nervously. "Every night I see the ships burning. I hear the screaming. But worst of all, I hear the silence that came after. Tell me about that silence." The alien's remaining organic eyes stared past her, seeing something that existed only in memory. It was the sound of an empire dying. 50,000 years of civilization, reduced to nothing in 3 years. Your people did that, Nar made it. Note on her tablet. She had read the classified reports, seen the battle footage, studied the tactical analyses. But hearing it from one of the 12 survivors was different. There was something in Velthik's voice that statistics couldn't capture. "The Veltharian Empire ruled most of this galaxy," she said. "Your technology was centuries ahead of ours. Your fleet outnumbered ours by thousands to 1. How did it end this way?" Velthik's laugh was bitter, hollow. "That's what everyone wants to know. The Carillion Empire, the Zephyrian Collective, even the Andorian Federation, they all send their spies and diplomats, asking the same question. How did the mighty Veltharians fall to a species that barely had spaceflight 50 years ago?" The room fell quiet, except for the soft hum of life support systems. Through the viewport, human patrol ships moved between the stars with casual efficiency. Their sleek designs bore little resemblance to the bulky warships that had fought in the war. "You want to know the truth?" Velthik continued. "We didn't lose because your technology was better. We didn't lose because your tactics were superior. We lost because we never understood what we were fighting." "What do you mean?" "Every species we conquered before followed the same pattern. They fought bravely, they suffered losses, and eventually they surrendered to save what remained of their people. It was logical, it was civilized, it was how wars were supposed to end." Nara leaned forward slightly. "But humans didn't follow that pattern. No, you didn't fight like soldiers, you fought like a virus. Every defeat made you stronger. Every loss taught you something new. When we destroyed your fleets, you analyzed the wreckage and built better ships. When we conquered your colonies, you turned the survivors into weapons." The alien's prosthetic arm twitched as he spoke, a nervous habit that Nara had noted in previous sessions. "I was there when we took the mining colony at New Perth. It should have been simple. A few orbital bombardments, some ground troops, and the humans would surrender. That's how it always worked. But it didn't work that way. Your people fought with mining equipment, civilian transports, anything they could find. When we finally took the surface, we discovered they had rigged the entire mining complex to explode. 14,000 humans died in that explosion, along with half our landing force." Nara's stylus stopped moving across her tablet. "You said they rigged it to explode. That suggests planning. Velthik's mechanical eye clicked as it refocused. "Doctor, your people had planned for their own extinction from the moment we arrived. Every human settlement we approached had already prepared for total destruction rather than surrender. You weaponized your own deaths." The weight of those words settled over the chamber like a shroud. Nara had read about the New Perth incident, but hearing it described by someone who had been there was different. The clinical language of military reports couldn't capture the raw horror in Velthok's voice. "The worst part," he continued, "was that you kept getting better at it. By the time we reached your second colony, you had already adapted to our weapons. You had studied our ship designs, analyzed our tactics, and developed countermeasures. In 6 hours, you had learned what it took other species months to understand. That's when your commanders should have realized they were in a different kind of war. They did realize it, but by then it was too late. The Imperial Council had committed to many resources to withdraw. They thought overwhelming force would eventually break your resistance. They didn't understand that resistance was just another word for evolution where humans were concerned. Nara saved her notes and prepared to end the session. We'll continue tomorrow, Velthak. Get some rest. As she stood to leave, the alien's voice stopped her. Doctor, may I ask you something? Of course, do you dream about the war? Nara paused. At the door? Sometimes, what do you dream about? She turned back to face him. The same thing you do. The silence that came after. The second day of interviews began with tension thick enough to cut Dr. Kim. Nara noticed how Velthak's remaining hand trembled slightly as he settled into his chair. Dr. Park Min-ho sat in the corner. His military uniform crisp and clean, a stark contrast to the scarred alien across from them. Yesterday you mentioned that your people had a name for us, Nara said, activating her recording device. Tell me about your first impressions of humanity. Velthak's mechanical eye clicked as it adjusted focus. The soft ones, that's what we called you in our intelligence reports. Your species looked so weak to us. No claws, no armor plating, no natural weapons. Just pink skin that could be cut so easily. Paused, studying his prosthetic arm. Our scouts sent back images of your cities. Millions of you packed together in these fragile structures made of glass and metal. You spent more time fighting each other than preparing for threats from space. The Imperial Council laughed when they saw the reports. What did those reports say about our military capabilities? Min-ho asked from his corner. Primitive, divided, weak. Velthak's voice carried a note of bitter irony. Your planet had over 200 separate nations, each with their own military. You were constantly at war with each other over water, land, resources. To us, you looked like children playing with toys. Nara made notes on her tablet, as the Empire felt confident about the conquest. Confident? Velthak's laugh was hollow. Doctor, we had conquered 17 different species across the galaxy. The Carillion Empire, with their crystal ships. The Zephyrian Collective with their hive minds. The Andorian Federation with their energy shields. Each time, the pattern was the same. We would arrive, demonstrate our superior firepower, and they would surrender to save their people. But humans were different. We thought you were just another primitive species. Number 18 on our list? The fleet they sent to your system was considered adequate but not excessive. 50,000 ships, standard conquest formation. 4. Most species, that would have been overwhelming. The room fell quiet except for the soft hum of air recyclers. Through the viewport, a human cargo ship passed by, its hull scarred but functional. Tell me about New Perth, Nara said gently. Velthak's remaining eye focused on something beyond the walls. New Perth was supposed to be our demonstration. A small mining colony on the edge of your space. Minimal defenses, mostly civilian population. We would take it quickly. Show your species what resistance would cost them. The battle lasted 6 hours, according to our records. 6 hours that changed everything. Velthaka's voice dropped to a whisper. We expected the humans to surrender after the first orbital bombardment. Instead, they fought harder. Mining equipment became weapons. Civilian transports became bombers. Children who should have been hiding were carrying ammunition to the defenders. Min-ho shifted in his chair. What was your role in the battle? Communications? I was monitoring human transmissions, trying to understand their command structure. But there was no command structure. Every human seemed to know what to do without being told. They adapted faster than any species we had ever encountered. Adapted how? In the first hour, they learned our weapon frequencies and started rotating their shield harmonics. In the second hour, they were using our own tactics against us. By the fourth hour, they had figured out how to turn civilian mining lasers into anti-ship weapons. Nara looked up from her notes. That level of adaptation shouldn't have been possible. That's what we thought. Every other species we conquered took months to develop effective countermeasures. Your people did it in hours. But it wasn't just the technology, it was the mindset. When we finally broke through their defenses, we expected to find survivors, ready to surrender, but you didn't. No, we found booby traps. Explosives hidden in every building. The humans had rigged their entire colony to explode rather than let us capture it. 14,000 of your people died in that explosion, along with half our landing force. The alien's prosthetic arm twitched as he spoke. I was in orbit when it happened. The explosion was so massive, it could be seen from space. Our commander kept asking why they had done it, why they had chosen death over slavery. Did you find an answer? Eventually, but not until it was too late. Velthak's mechanical eye whirred as it refocused. The humans who died in that explosion weren't just destroying themselves. They were sending a message, not just to us, but to every human in the galaxy. They were saying that death was preferable to conquest. Minho leaned forward. What happened next? We moved to the second colony, Titan's Rest, another mining world. Similar to New Perth, but this time, the humans were ready for us. They had analyzed the wreckage from our ships at New Perth. They had studied our tactics, our weapons, our formation patterns. In 6 hours, they had learned what it took other species months to understand, and they used that knowledge against you. They didn't just use it. They improved on it. The defenses at Titan's Rest were unlike anything we had seen. They had turned asteroids into weapons. They had reprogrammed civilian satellites to jam our communications. They'd even found a way to use our own technology against us. The room fell silent. Nara saved her notes and prepared to end the session. That's when we should have left, Velthak whispered. That's when we should have known we weren't fighting a primitive species. We were fighting something that learned from death and grew stronger with each defeat. The third day brought rain against the viewport of Medical Bay 7. Dr. Kim Nara watched the water streak down the reinforced glass as she waited for Velthak to settle into his chair. His prosthetic arm jerking, with each movement like a broken puppet. You look tired, Nara observed, her voice gentle. I don't sleep well anymore, Velthak replied, his mechanical eye focusing on her with difficulty. The dreams are getting worse. Last night, I dreamed about the Olympus station again. Dr. Park Minho shifted in his corner seat, his military uniform rustling softly. The Olympus incident was a turning point in the war. Turning point. Velthak's mandibles clicked bitterly. Is that what you call it when 14 million people choose to die rather than surrender? When an entire space station becomes a weapon, Nara activated her recording device. Tell me what you saw that day. Stared past her, seeing horrors that existed only in memory. We had your people trapped. The Third Fleet surrounded the Olympus mining station completely. Over 50,000 human civilians lived there, along with their military defenders. Our commander sent the standard surrender demand. What was the response? Silence. For 3 hours, nothing. Then your General Li Dongho sent a single message back to us. Velthak's voice dropped to a whisper. He said, "Thank you for gathering. Your ships so close together, it will make this easier." The room fell quiet except for the sound of rain against the viewport. Nara made notes on her tablet, though her hands trembled slightly. We didn't understand what he meant, Velta continued. How could we? No species in galactic history had ever done what humans did next. They had turned the entire asteroid into a bomb. Mining charges, reactor cores, fuel supplies, everything converted into one massive explosive device. The station was home to millions of people, Minho said quietly. Yes, and they all knew what was about to happen. We intercepted their communications in the final minutes, parents saying goodbye to their children, couples holding hands, military personnel reporting ready for detonation. And through it all, General Li was smiling. Nara looked up from her notes. Smiling, we found the security footage afterward. In the final seconds before the explosion, General Li was standing in the command center with his finger on the detonation button. He was smiling like he was about to give someone a gift. Velthak's prosthetic arm twitched violently. Maybe he was. The alien paused, his breathing becoming labored. The explosion destroyed half our Third Fleet instantly, 47,000. Veltharian ships, gone in a matter of seconds. But that wasn't the worst part. What was the worst part? The data transmission. In the seconds before the explosion, every human on that station was recording everything. Battle footage, tactical analysis, ship weaknesses, formation patterns. They transmitted it all to your other fleets before they died. Minho leaned forward. They weaponized their own deaths. Exactly. Your people didn't just die. They studied us as they died. They learned from our attack patterns even as we killed them. Then they shared that knowledge with every human military unit in the galaxy. Nara felt a chill run down her spine. That's why our forces became more effective after Olympus. More effective? Velthak's laugh was hollow. Doctor, within weeks of the Olympus incident, your fleets were using weapons we had never seen before. Kinetic harpoons that could pierce. Our shields. Computer viruses that turned our own ships against us. Tactics that seemed impossible. How did they develop these weapons so quickly? By studying our wreckage. Every time we destroyed a human ship, your people would analyze the debris. They would learn how our weapons worked, how our shields functioned, how our computers operated. Then they would build better versions. The alien's remaining hand clenched into a fist. But it wasn't just the technology. It was the mindset. Other species fight to win. Humans fight to ensure their enemies can never threaten them again. You don't just defeat your opponents. You study them, learn from them, and become stronger than them. It's basic military doctrine, Minho observed. No, basic military doctrine is about victory. Human doctrine is about evolution. Turn every battle into a learning experience. You treat every defeat as valuable data. You weaponize your own failures. Nara saved her notes and prepared to end the session. The rain had stopped, but the viewport remained streaked with water. Dr. Veltak said as she stood to leave, "May I ask you something?" Of course, how many humans died in the war? Nara hesitated. She had read the classified reports, seen the casualty figures. Approximately 2 billion. And how many Veltharians? According to our records, all of them, except for 12 survivors. Velthak's mandibles clicked once, a sound like breaking glass. 2 billion humans died, and you call it a victory. Every Veltharian except 12 died, and we call it extinction. Sorry, Nara said softly. Don't be sorry, Doctor. Be afraid, because the galaxy's watching, and they're all trying to figure out how to survive what you've become. As she left the chamber, Nara could hear the alien's mechanical eye worry in the silence. Focusing on nothing, seeing everything. The fourth day of interviews began with silence. Dr. Kim Nara entered. Medical Base 7 to find Velthak already seated. Staring at his prosthetic arm with an expression she couldn't read, the alien's mechanical eye had been damaged somehow, clicking in worry as it struggled to focus. Are you ready to continue? Nara asked softly, setting down her recording. Equipment. Velthak's remaining organic eye looked up at her. I've been thinking about Titan's Gate all night, about the moment everything changed. About the day I learned that humans don't just fight wars. Dr. Park Min-ho shifted in his corner chair. The Battle of Titan's Gate was classified at the highest levels. Even most military personnel don't know the details. They should, Veltak whispered. Everyone should know what your species is capable of when you're cornered. Nara activated her recording device. Tell me about that day. The aliens. Prosthetic arm jerked as he tried to gesture, the movement sharp and unnatural. It was supposed to be the end. Our Grand Admiral Zexkoth had positioned the 7th Fleet at the edge of the Titan system. 30,000 ships in perfect formation, blocking every escape route. What was the human situation? Desperate. Admiral Han Jin-ho had only 300 ships left. They were trapped, outnumbered, with no hope of reinforcement. Every tactical computer in the galaxy would have calculated the same result. Total human defeat within hours. The room fell quiet except for the soft hum of life support systems. Through the viewport, distant stars twinkled peacefully, giving no hint of the horror that had unfolded at Titan's Gate. Our admiral sent the surrender demand, Velthak continued. Standard protocol. Lay down your weapons, prepare to be boarded, and your deaths will be quick. We expected compliance within the hour, but Admiral Han refused. He didn't just refuse. He sent back a message that still haunts me. Velthak's mechanical eye clicked as it struggled to focus. Said, "Thank you for bringing your entire fleet so close to our star. We've been waiting for this opportunity. Nara felt a chill run down her spine. What did he mean? We found out 30 minutes later. Your Admiral Han had somehow combined captured Valtharian technology with human engineering. They had been working on it for months, waiting for the right moment. They had turned the star itself into a weapon. Minho leaned forward. How is that possible? By doing something no military strategist in galactic history had ever conceived. They destabilized the star's core using a combination of gravitational manipulation and magnetic field disruption. The resulting solar flare was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The alien's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. It was in the communications bay of the flagship when it happened. The star just ... exploded. Not a supernova, but something controlled. Directed, the flare hit our fleet like a wall of pure energy. The reports say 60% of your fleet was destroyed instantly. Destroyed? Velthicus' laugh was bitter. Doctor, our ships didn't just explode. They melted. The electromagnetic pulse disabled everything electronic within 3 light minutes. Ships that weren't vaporized immediately lost life support, navigation, weapons, everything. Nara made notes on her tablet, though her hands were shaking. What happened to the human fleet? They were destroyed too. Every single ship. But that wasn't the point. They had never intended to survive. The entire operation was a suicide mission designed to cripple our forces. Velthok's prosthetic arm twitched violently. But even as they died, they were still fighting us. Do you mean? In the minutes before the flare hit, every human ship was transmitting data. Battle footage, tactical analysis, ship weaknesses, formation patterns. They were studying us even as they prepared to die. They used their final moments to gather intelligence that would kill more of us. The room fell silent. Outside, a human patrol ship passed by the viewport, its hull gleaming in the starlight. I was thrown across the communications bay when the wave hit, Velthic continued. My arm was crushed under a falling console. I watched my crewmates die from radiation poisoning while the ship's systems failed one by one. But the worst part was listening to the communications. What communications? From the human survivors. There were still some alive in the wreckage, floating in escape pods or damaged ship sections. They were using their final breaths to coordinate attacks on our rescue ships. Oh. Even dying, they were still fighting. Nara looked up from her notes. How did you survive? I shouldn't have. I was found floating in an escape pod 3 days later, half dead from radiation exposure. The ship that rescued me was human. A medical vessel that had arrived to search for survivors. How did they treat you? That's what I'll never understand. The first words the human medic said to me were, "Sorry about your friends." Not mocking, not cruel. Just genuinely sorry for my loss. Velthok's remaining hand trembled. Then they spent 2 weeks saving my life. The same species that had just destroyed my fleet was now trying to keep me alive. That bothers you. It terrifies me. You don't fight out of hatred or anger. You fight because you have to, because you can't let threats to your species survive. It's not personal. It's just ... necessary. The session ended with Velthak staring at the wall, lost in memories of burning ships and dying stars. As Nara packed up her equipment, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was documenting something far more dangerous than a simple war story. The 5th day felt different from the moment Dr. Kim Nara entered Medical Bay 7. Velthic sat in his usual chair, but something had changed. The alien looked smaller somehow, as if the weight of his memories had physically diminished him. His mechanical eye no longer clicked and whirred constantly. Instead, it focused on her with unsettling clarity. "This is our final session," Nara announced, setting down her recording equipment for the last time. "I know," Velthok replied without waiting for her to settle. "And I know why you're really here, Doctor. This was never about historical documentation, was it?" Nada's fingers paused over her tablet. "What do you mean? You're gathering intelligence? Not about the past, but about the future? About what happens next?" The alien's remaining organic eye studied her face. "The galaxy is watching, Dr. Kim. Every major power knows what happened to the Veltharian Empire. They're all trying to decide the same thing." No, Dr. Park Min-ho shifted uncomfortably in his corner chair. "And what's that? Whether to ally with humanity or prepare for war against you?" Elthekis' mandibles clicked softly. The Carillion Empire has tripled their military budget. The Zephyrian Collective is building new defensive stations along their border with human space. The Andorian Federation is sending diplomatic missions to Earth every month. Nara activated her recording device. What would you advise them? The alien's laugh was hollow, empty. The same thing I'm telling you right now. The Veltharian Empire ruled a third of the galaxy for over 5,000 years. We had technology that your species couldn't even understand. We had fleets that numbered in the millions. We had conquered 17 different civilizations, but you lost to us. Lost? Felthic's mechanical eye clicked once. Doctor, we weren't defeated. We were erased. There's a difference between losing a war and becoming extinct. Your species didn't just beat us. You removed us from existence. The room fell quiet, except for the soft hum of life support systems. Through the viewport, human cargo ships moved peacefully between the stars, their hulls unmarked by weapons or armor. Tell me what frightens the other species, Nara said gently. What frightens them is that you're still human, still normal. Peaceful. Velthak's prosthetic arm gestured toward the viewport. Those ships out there look like merchant vessels. No weapons visible, no aggressive posturing, just ordinary people going about their business. That's exactly what they are. And that's what terrifies everyone else in the galaxy. You committed genocide against my people while writing poetry about peace. You turned stars into weapons while your children played in parks. You destroyed an entire civilization while your artists created beautiful music. Nara felt a chill run down her spine. I don't understand. You're not monsters, Doctor. Monsters are easy to understand. They're evil, so you fight them. But humans, your survivors, who haven't forgotten how to be civilized, your killers, who still laugh at jokes, your warriors who still fall in love. The alien stood slowly, his mechanical joints worry softly. That's what no one else in the galaxy can comprehend. How can a species be so gentle and so terrible at the same time? How can you smile while you destroy entire civilizations? We didn't want to destroy your people, Nara said quietly. I know. That's what makes it worse. You didn't hate us. You didn't enjoy killing us. You just couldn't let us win. It wasn't personal, it was just necessary. Welthek's remaining hand trembled. Do you know what I've learned in these 3 years since the war ended? What? That humans have a saying. Speak softly and carry a big stick. But that's not quite right for your species. You don't just carry big sticks. You are the stick. When threatened, you don't just fight back. You evolve. You adapt. You become something new and terrible. Minho leaned forward. What will you do now? Warn them. All of them. Every species in the galaxy needs to understand what they're dealing with. Velthak moved toward the door, his prosthetic arms swinging awkwardly. The galaxy has 2 choices. Learn to coexist with humanity as equals, or face extinction. And if they choose war, then they'll learn what I learned. That humans don't just fight wars. You terraform them. You turn entire star systems into weapons. You weaponize your own deaths. You smile while you die because you know your deaths will teach other humans how to kill more efficiently. The guards arrived to escort Velthak back to his quarters. As they prepared to leave, he turned back to Nara one final time. Doctor, may I give you some advice? Of course. Whatever comes next, whatever the galaxy decides to do about humanity, remember this. You're not the same species that started this war. You've evolved. You've adapted. You've become something that has never existed before in galactic history. What's that? Species that can commit genocide while remaining human? Civilization that can destroy entire empires while keeping its soul intact. That's what frightens everyone else. It's not your weapons or your tactics, your humanity. As the door closed behind him, Nara remained alone in the chamber. Through the viewport, human patrol ships continued their peaceful routes between the stars. She thought about Velthik's words as she sealed her final report. The galaxy was indeed watching. And humanity, whether they knew it or not, was already preparing for whatever came next. The war was over. The peace was just beginning. But peace Nara realized, was just another word for the time between wars.